Oh, SpaceX. You hear the shuttle? Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I just had some rumbling outside, guys. That's the SpaceX launch. There's a shuttle. I live kind of near Cape Canaveral, guys, in Central Florida, so I hear all that stuff. It's pretty cool. So sorry, I just had to take a second. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome aboard to the Aftermarket Recap. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thanks for taking the time to join me today and every afternoon. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Running a little late. Had to mess with the audio as always. I'm not the best at this tech stuff like you guys, but I'm working on it. Let's go ahead and go over the market. Dow fell today 269 points. Nasdaq down about 0.73%. S&P down 1%, 1.08%. VIX was red today, down a quarter point. Equal weight S&P, again more value stocks down 1.41%. Small caps down 1.5%. Dollar was green today. Makes sense, right? Dollar green, stocks red. 102.53 down, up 0.21%. 10-year Treasury yield, the key level, that the key things we've been watching, 3.029%. Yields were higher today. Bonds were down. TLT. They did provide a dividend today. That I know. 114.10 on TLT. Again, I talked about this on Twitter as well. High yield credit. High yield credit has got to show me a little something more than where it is right now. If we want the Nasdaq to go higher, high yield credit has to move higher with it. That was down 0.86%. You can see that it's underperforming the broader Nasdaq, but still need that to kind of get some momentum. You need high yielding credit to provide some more liquidity out there and availability of capital. That's how recessions happen, when you don't have availability of capital, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at LQD, 0.58% to the downside, 112.34. Take a look at crude. Crude is up 2.5%. Will it ever stop? Is the question, right? Just keeps going higher and higher. Now we cleared that 23.6 fib. We talked about that this morning. Your next stop is 130.50. That's where you are. So again, we can keep going higher. So as someone who owns energy stocks, obviously you don't want the party to end. But again, just keep an eye on crude. Even with the dollar higher, crude just catching a bid. Gasoline up 1.4%, $4.21. $5 is coming per gallon nationally for sure. Gold futures up 0.19%, 18.55 an ounce. Silver down 0.49%. Was looking at Bitcoin today as well, being my bit of a risk indicator, leading indicator for the Nasdaq and the markets. Still stuck in that range, 30,140. At least we're holding above 30. That kind of gives us a little solace there. Ethereum down 2.69%. How about put call ratios today, guys? Again, not a lot to be bearish about now. Nothing going on here. Down 0.21%. Put call ratios were red today. So again, not a lot of fear out there. Check. Put call ratios are not exactly elevated. Check. The VIX is literally breaking down. Yields are, stabilizing somewhat, but again, so the question is now, what is this exactly? Is this the new normal? Are we just going to chop up forever, kind of like Bitcoin? Again, we're at a crossroads now. We're in between the stocks have baked in every bad news you could think of to the next shoe can drop. And the next shoe that can drop that I'm looking at in terms of the market, in terms of volume, is the simple fact that not a lot of liquidity out there. You're not getting a lot of liquidity. We saw consumer credit numbers come out, right? About spending, consumer credit is higher. So again, the lack of capital, that's recessionary. That's an alarm bell. I think the market is kind of putting that in, and the key thing here is on Friday we have CPI. So again, if we're going to have lower consumer spending or consumers using credit in order to buy whatever they need or go on vacation or lifestyle or even necessities, one being worse than the other, obviously, is that we better have some low inflation numbers to at least go with it. Because if we have contracting growth and higher inflation, that's stagflation and that's bad. And that's not something that you want, obviously. That's kind of the bear side of it. That again, we are looking at valuations. Earnings are going higher. EPS numbers are going higher for the S&P, not on a year-to-year basis, but at least trending on the right side. We've had some revisions to the downside, sure, but nothing enough to really change S&P EPS. And the S&P does go with the EPS as well. So again, valuations are not exactly expensive. We could say that. And we have pretty much the three-headed monster of the Fed, Russia, Ukraine, and China COVID, right? And supply chains. That's kind of hurting everything here. That's why we're not higher. That's not you're not getting consumer confidence. So really, what's going to happen? And it seems to be that we are just in a zone where buyers are defending for 4080, 4101, and sellers have tons of supply ready to sell at 4160. That's where we've been this whole week. And we talked about this afternoon. I'll expand S&P that the last time that we had a week's worth of consolidation, we moved higher. But that was just last week. That could obviously change, but we went over this before in the morning. Again, the last time we had consolidation before that was in May. But this consolidation, I still think we go higher. Yes, I could be wrong. You do see an inverse head and shoulders. I'm going to go with that technical analysis, at least here, because fundamentally nothing has really changed. We already have majority of S&P numbers in, and the earnings growth is there. EPS estimates are elevated. So we're in between two camps of, hey, things are cheap. We can start buying now, or we have one more shoe to drop. That's what you're finding yourself every day now at the market. Now, today, what I was fighting with is that I had QQQ calls that actually hit 15% profit. I was waiting for 5 more percent to catch 20 for today's expiry, and the thing flipped on me. And that happens. It sucks because it's been an absolute ping pong chop fest where you're just not getting momentum enough to go to the upside or downside. So this kind of happened last Wednesday that I remember very vividly. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? And we soared. We did very well. So again, I think that's the case tomorrow. 4101 seems to be a big demand area. 4080 being your next case down of support. You see that triple bottom there. Let's see if we hold it. Let's see what overnight does with Asia. But again, crude oil is not doing anyone any favors. That's for sure. And if we go and bring up the S&P heat map, and we'll get to the questions here in a second, take a look at energy being the only bright spot. Other than Tesla, Netflix, talks of Roku. Again, Facebook was up tomorrow, will be called Meta, and CRM was up today. But for the most part, that's been the green spot. Let's go to the year-to-date performance. Look at that. Leader of the pack, energy. Energy has been leading the pack, killing it. 68% for XOM, new all-time highs. CVX up 53%. I remember when those stocks were trading in the low 20s and are at a high yield where most people didn't want to touch. So again, it's a rotation market. Energy is the king of the town right now with strong dividends and still being cheap. I'm just waiting for a little bit of a pullback so I can at least buy some energy stocks right here at elevated valuations are still cheap relative. But again, I want to see if I can snipe my way and see if I could buy some energy here in a pullback if we get one. That's really the only thing I'm kind of hoping for. All right, let's answer some questions. Hey, hello, Carlos. Thoughts on MO downgrade by Morgan Stanley? I did not read that note on Morgan Stanley. MO being Altria Group. And again, you can see the price action today. Listen, Altria Group is one of the better dividend companies to own. You're not going to get a lot of growth from it. It's purely defensive. Would I be a buyer of Altria? Yes. And I hate to say this, but if you're talking recession, studies have shown that alcohol sales and tobacco sales rise very sharply during an economic downturn. God, I hate myself for saying that, but I think MO is worth a buy, definitely. If you want some dividends, I think MO is worth a buy. Let me go and take a look at their yield. Let's see it. Let's see, dividend here. I'm going ahead and look it up. Yeah, dividend yield of 6.67%. That's a buy. Definitely worth it. Thoughts on NVIDIA, please? Let's go ahead and take a look. NVIDIA, I do own. Love the stock long term, obviously. We do have a couple of gaps to fill that we have filled already. I think this is your next support of 182.21. We have a lot more upward gaps. Semiconductors did take a hit today. They were one of the worst performing sectors. And I would know, I have AMD calls, I got nuked, and I'm still holding them. Tomorrow is AMD's Investor Day. Why is this important? If you read the Twitter that I put up yesterday, AMD is actually selling some bonds, and AMD took a hit on that. Here's the thing: if you're doing the selling of bonds ahead of this Investor Day, what do you got up your sleeve? I think AMD more than likely is going to start doing a big buyback, if not doing some kind of M&A of some kind. I think tomorrow might be a big day for AMD. So Nvidia might be up in sympathy, obviously, but AMD, watch out for it. I think we do get a bounce on AMD tomorrow with that Investor Day, or it could be a sell the news event. That 200-day moving average has been kind of our guide, and $100 a share seems to be that good support. So I think Nvidia will move higher with AMD. So I do like Nvidia long term. How major of a move do you think we get tomorrow in SPY and QQQ? Let's take a look. Well, we've been stuck in this range, so basically bounce around 410, 408 on SPY, or 407.50, let's just call it. I think we'll get back to around the 415 range tomorrow, and I still think we're going to go higher. There's a gap to fill at 418. I think we'll fill it by the end of this week. I know I'm crazy, but I have this feeling, I know a theory, but again, based on the technicals, maybe the reaction is better than expected. CPI being so high, maybe we get a lower print, and that's all we need to shoe up, baby. So I think we do get a little more upside, kind of fitting the analog of May's rally, if you remember. See, kind of similar. Again, not best kind of technical research, obviously, but one can hope, right? It's really based on the news. And remember, next week, guys, we have FOMC, which is the Fed on Wednesday, and on Friday we have OPEX. I think I read about $6 trillion worth of derivatives and options are going to expire. So let's see what we can do. Target price on ENPH. Let's take a look. Enphase. Enphase is a good company that I've read. I believe they do a lot. It's an energy company dealing with solar. If my memory serves me correct. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stock. Home energy, software-driven home energy solutions. The problem is that they're expensive at a 176.45. The only thing with Enphase, if you're looking on a technical basis, is that it's looked like you're getting a little bit of a double top on the daily. So I would wait and see if you can crack that above 220 to clear that and see if you could scale in maybe dollar cost average. But again, it is expensive, trading at a 176 multiple. They are profitable. That's great. Good profit margin. They got some good numbers. But again, it is important about what you spend on something, how much you pay for it. So in regards to Enphase, I would wait for the break of 220 or at least a retest of 178 before I pull the trigger. I don't own this company, but it is interesting. I've had a lot of people tell me about Enphase. They love that company. And again, it did come high from 282 to 204, but not as bad as other growth names. Thoughts on COF? I want to say that's, I thought it was going to be ConocoPhillips. Capital One. Well, we know Capital One, they are a lender. So again, if you have more pressure on the lending portfolio where people are spending more consumer credit, we're going to see how healthy those balance sheets are. In terms of these financials, excuse me, Capital One is not my favorite. I don't like a lot of banks with tons of credit risk. JPM has at least a hybrid with investment banking and consumer credit. Capital One is all basically just credit. So they don't have the fixed income side or investment banking side revenue to fall back on. It's a little bit concentrated. I think Amex would be a better play in terms of playing just straight up consumer banking or consumer lending. We'll compare it to Capital One, I believe AXP, and you can see that's performing a lot better. So I would say AXP over Capital One. I think Capital One has a better yield. So if you kind of want a little more risk, yeah, I guess we'll go with Capital One. I don't think they're terrible, but I think you get a more bang for your buck for American Express, which is a better consumer lender. And they also make money with memberships and what have you in travel. So they also have that to fall back on. I'm not sure if Capital One is as big as in travel as American Express, but American Express is a home run. They're a great company to own. IDX, should I buy shares? IDEX. Ideanomics. I don't know this name. They are a penny stock. I can't advocate to buy those because you might lose money rather quickly. If you're doing a trade, my goodness, I can't even call it here. Uh, just be careful with these penny stocks. They're pump and dumps, man. I would say save your money, brother, and just put it in SPY. Put it in the S&P 500. Make life easy. These are right here are just it's a mess. Unless you're really, really, really good at it, like a Timothy Sykes, where I've seen on Wall Street Warriors on YouTube. He's great on that. That's somebody that is an expert on penny stocks. With low floats. I don't do that, so I can't give you an opinion. I apologize. I wish I could tell you, yeah, this is a great company, or no, it's shit. I don't want to give you misinformation and just tell you what I don't know. I don't know much about penny stocks. And Interactive says, thanks for taking the time every day. Best out here. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I know we don't get a ton of followers, but I still come in daily wanting to explain things to you. So again, I'll keep doing it for you guys. I love it. I love talking to you every single day. Let's see what the market does tomorrow. Pretty rough one today with that chop. So again, been here before. We were here last Wednesday. I'll keep an eye on futures as always. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. Maybe something does change overnight. See if we can get out of this chop. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Cheers.